Let's go.
Right.
What's up, y'all?
Hello,
Welcome back to
everyone.
another episode of Just Like Us. I'm your host, Justin Burbs, my lovely lady, Letty Zito.
Hello, everyone.
Let's go.
Welcome in.
So today we have a special guest. I'm not going to give too much yet. He's not here. He's going to be arriving any moment. Special guest, someone I've known for a long, long time. And let's just say this. The title of this is Half His Life Behind Bars. Okay? And I'm bringing this special guest up because we just recently linked back up, and what a powerful relationship we've already had. You know, I met this person when I was a kid, when I was, I think, maybe 12, 13, 14 at the most. And we found ourselves locked up together in a place called Spring Mountain, which was like a kid prison. And this was a really unique place to be because being locked up here, you weren't behind bars. This place was not a place where you're behind bars. You were able to run if you wanted. So we got locked up. I mean, we didn't know each other on the streets before this. We met each other in Spring Mountain Youth Camp as kids out in the county of, it was in Vegas, and it was outside of Vegas, up in Spring Mountain, Mount Charleston area. So what happened for me was I ended up in a stolen car. It was me, my brother, two other people, and I'm learning not to say names in here just in case. And what happened was I was driving, and we were on probation. So me and my brother Nate were both on probation. We weren't on probation. It was called Freedom Program. And so with this Freedom Program, you had 4 probation officers, and this is 100% real. It's true story. So me and my brother Nate were on probation. It's called the Freedom Program, and he had 4 probation officers, and I had 4 probation officers. And so at any given time, there was 8 POs between him and I, and this is how it was. You know what I mean? This is just how it was. It was called the Freedom Program because we got in trouble, and they said, okay, you got one more chance to get in trouble. And if you do, you're going to go basically up to kid prison. So we're on, probation, Freedom Program, and what happened was we were having to go out to the juvenile hall to go to school. Like we would have to go, I'd have to catch a bus from Henderson out to juvenile hall to go to school, like regular junior high school. And so we're going to school, and before you get in there, they strip you down, they make sure you don't got no weapons, because you literally go into juvenile hall to go to school. So so we're going to school there, and I found myself, me and Nate. So basically, we're on probation. He's got 4 POs, I got 4 POs, and any given time, the POs are coming to our house. And so what happens was, after school, after we get out of juvenile, we'd go with our POs 5 days a week for like 4 or 5 hours, and we wouldn't get home till like 8 o'clock at night. And so we're basically ward of the state. We're there with the state, and we're really involved with probation and the state. So so the little time that we had away from our POs, we found ourselves in a stolen car. You know what I mean? And I mean, I wouldn't say a bad kid, but I was in a lot of trouble. So I'm the driver, and we're on the way to the mall because we were going to. I had some money. I think we was gonna go basically boost some stuff, because I found out this lick, I called it, where I could go into Ross, and I can go get a bunch of clothes and just run out the door. I seen these black dudes do it, and I was like, dang, that's a good lick. So anyway, so I started doing it, and I got good at it. So the homies were like, let's go do it. So anyways, we're on the way, and I forgot something, and we turned around, and we end up T-boning this car. So check this out. So we hit this car. I think I was 16 years old, 15 years old, and this dude just pulled right in front of him. Bam! We hit this car, and I woke up, and I smelled gunpowder. I woke up in the middle of the intersection, rolling backward, and the horns honk, bang! And so I'm rolling backward, and I'm waking up, and I remember my hand hurt. Everybody wants to hit my hand, but it knocked me out. I woke up, and I'm like, I smell gunpowder. I'm like, all 4 of the doors were open, all 3 of them. And so it was like my brother and 2 of the homies that were in the back, and all 4 of the doors were open, and like I see smoke everywhere. The engine's smoking, all kind of craziness. And so, thank you. Oh, look, Renee's in the building. Yes, how you doing, sister? And so, I see my homies jump out of the car, and I'm like dazed and confused. I'm like rolling backwards in the intersection, and my homies are running. My brother's out, and so I jump out, and as soon as I jump out, the dude pulls a gun. He didn't have a gun. It was a fake gun. I think I was dazed, so it may not even have really happened. But I see the dude pull a gun out over his hood, say freeze, and I'm like, just looked at this dude, and I'm like, what? Okay, he's not. You know what I mean? I just kept on running, and I caught up to my brother Nate. Long story short, I told Nate stick with me. He ended up going separate ways. We ended up getting, breaking up because every time we'd get in trouble, Nate would be with me and he would get caught. And so I said, Nate, stick with me. And so we ended up splitting park. And I got home. I didn't get caught. And as soon as I got home, Nate's POs came. So it was like I got home like an hour later. I was booking it, and the cops were everywhere. I mean, there was cops everywhere. And so I got home, and Nate wasn't home, and so his POs pull up at the house and they knock and they're like, yeah, come out here. So basically they knew that I was involved with this because I think Nate ended up letting them know that I was part of this. You know what I mean? He probably thought whatever he thought. But anyway, so they put me in their car and here comes Henderson police, pulled right up, boom, they arrested me. And then that was when my journey started to Spring Mountain. Went to Spring Mountain, and this is where I met the guest we got coming up. And I'm gonna let him get up here before we introduce him, but he'll be up here any minute. And so yeah, this podcast is about spending half your life behind bars, because this particular person we met not only in Spring Mountain Youth Camp, we also, after we got out of Spring Mountain Youth Camp, I was in Spring Mountain and I was able to go home on the weekends, and like most people weren't. It was a bus that was supposed to be full. There's a bus that, if you do good and get your achievement points or whatever, you get to go home on the weekends. And there's a TV on this bus and everything. So anyways, it was like every weekend. After being there for like 2 months, I earned all the points I needed to do. Man, I still got in trouble, but I didn't get caught. You know what I mean? So I was a juvenile, and I had the achievement locker key, and so I was able to go sneak the candy. I was pulling some strings. But anyway, so I ended up going home on the weekends every weekend, and Nate ended up getting caught smoking weed or something up there, so he wasn't able to. So I was doing what I needed to do. So I ended up even getting out early, and I get out of Spring Mountain, and I ended up going to prison several years later. Well, this is the story. I think I'm gonna wait till he gets up here to talk about it. But we met back up in prison, and it was a really unique story. I'll give a little tidbits about what happened. He kind of saved my butt. He kind of saved my butt about something that I was about to get into with people, and he was like, "You guys don't want to mess with this dude, Bird." Bird's a scrapper. I know you guys are like 6 deep, but he's gonna get it. He's gonna get some with you. You know what I mean? For real. And so this really happened. What happened was, I had an afro, big old afro. It was literally this big all the way around. And what I'll pick it out. I'll pick my hair out. And the white dudes didn't like that for some reason. Like the dude who's coming up, he calls them gangbangers because he was in there. He was involved with stuff, but he wasn't part of these gang member stuff. So anyways. So I had this afro, picked it out, and I'll make me a little window. I'll pick my hair. It'll take me like 30 minutes to pick this whole thing out. I have to pick, and then I'll round that mug off. I'll round it off and make me a little window. Oh, pubic head looking in the mug. But that was what I went to prison like that. I didn't even know when they told me roll it up for prison, I had my hair in an afro, and I was like, super scared. So I'm like, dang, I did not know I was gonna go to prison today. And so just imagine having a big old head of hair. If somebody just puts their hand out and sticks their hand in it, you're like, you're done. You know what I mean? So I was so afraid that anything could happen. You know what I mean? Anything could happen. So anyway, I had this big afro, and these dudes called me out, and they're like, you can't be sitting at the white dude's table with this big old head of fro of hair. And I said, well, let's go then. You guys are gonna tell me what to do. So I put my hair back, and I'm like, let's go. And then here comes my homeboy that's like, look, y'all don't want none of it. And he was somebody. He was somebody in there. So he came in like, y'all ain't gonna, not on my watch. If you guys get down with him, you're gonna get down with me. And they're like, all right, well, I guess we ain't getting down with him. You know what I mean? Because he had a lot of pull. So anyway, let me see where this dude's at.
Yeah, he's not on yet, but gosh,
I want to make sure.
Just listening to, because I got the chance to talk to this guest yesterday, just to, because I didn't know him, right? Like you know him. Great guy, just great spirit, about him, and interesting, to learn about him and see, where he's at now, right? And for me, I wasn't in and out of jails or juvie. I just, didn't get caught. I mean, I boosted things and always, got out of it, or, would get pulled over and get out of it somehow for whatever reason. But the prison, right, that I created in my own mind, like I didn't even think I had choices, is how much of a wall that I built up, just listening to you talk about, having, these childhood friends, right, for so many years. I am realizing how much I cut myself off from people because of the prison that I created in my own mind. So I would cut off connections, right, to other people because of what I thought about myself, not or what I thought they thought about me.
Right.
But I created this huge prison wall around my heart and my mind, and so I've learned a lot from you. From your experiences of being in prison and how you broke that mindset and finally for me, right, opening back up to the world, right, opening back up to my community, opening back up to my partner, and sometimes I close off, and when I realize that I do that, yay, he's here.
Okay.
Hi, Michael.
What up, Michael? Okay, so we're wanting to get him on the Just Like Us. I don't know if he's on Just Like Us. We'll just get him on here. All right, I'm gonna invite you on, brother. It's not allowing me to. So, hey, Michael, if you could possibly, it's not letting me. If you can get on the Just JUSLIKE US.
You can't do it here.
Just Like Us. Let me see here. Let me see.
Yesterday
we have somebody that we paid for this, but we ain't seen her in a minute. I don't know.
Invite them to watch, and he's already
watching. Sure?
Yeah, it says invite friends to watch, right?
Okay.
So what about that? Did you touch that one? No. I don't know why it's not letting him. That one.
Yes, here we go. Add. Yes.
Send
invite. Okay, cool.
All right, Michael.
So I'm gonna give a little bit of reference on what we're talking about right now. We're just kind of talking about what we talked about on the phone yesterday, brother. About there's Michael.
Michael.
All right, let me introduce one of my close people, man. Right here, this is my brother Michael Matulich. We've known each other for several years. Say what's up, Michael. How you doing, brother? Okay, I can barely hear you, but it's probably on my end. Let me see. Okay.
Yeah.
I can barely hear you,
yeah.
but we'll pivot. We'll make it happen. Okay, cool. Okay, bear with us, y'all. You guys can't see Michael on this end, which is kind of sad. It's a little. That's how we're gonna do that.
I'm not sure. Can we invite? I wonder if I can invite him on here. Shoot. That's what I'm looking at right now, Michael. This.
Here, just look at him.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't know.
Oh no. Let's see here. Search Facebook, Michael Matulich.
Okay, go ahead.
No, but I'm not sure if it's live or what. Let me see if it's my thing. Nope. No. Weird. Dang it. Okay, so are you able to look us up on Just Like Us? Can you look on your Facebook to see if you can get on JUS? Is it? No, I think this one that we're on is mine.
Yeah.
And the Just Like Us would be it's a sign of a microphone.
Well, Renee said she can see Michael.
Okay. Can you hear him good, sister? Renee, can you hear Michael good? Can you tell me? Do you hear him good enough? But in the meantime, let me just say that, well, we're pivoting, Sometimes you hit a roadblock, and sometimes, we're not all that savvy with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but we're learning.
We're learning.
I thought it would be easier, but...
No, he's gone. Okay, so he's probably going to look for us. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. He'll be back on.
Sister Renee's in the building, y'all. What? Preview link?
No.
What's that?
I'm not sure.
Anyways, so... half of his life has been spent behind bars, you guys, and I'm sure me and him talked about this, and he told me, he's like, there's nothing that he's going to hide. And so, because we had something just recently where it was like, I mentioned somebody on here, and I didn't realize how it can impact somebody that's doing better, and so I didn't realize, my words can harm people, even if I feel like I'm doing something good or saying something good, I could potentially say something that, when somebody's, maybe in their past they've done something like, hey, remember when we were young and we used to, well, I got to be careful and mindful of that stuff because not everybody's stay on that same path or even want to even talk about that kind of stuff. He was fine when you said he was not on. He actually was on. Oh wow, okay, thank you. So the one that you're on, Renee, is that's Justin Bird, right? It's not the Just Like Us.
There's nobody on our excuse me, on our Just Like Us
that we can see.
Page,
no,
and there's nobody on here.
He said, "Hey brother, just shoot me another invite or send me the Just Like Us page." Yeah, I'd have to cut the live to do it. Let's just get you on here, man. We'll pivot. Let's just get you back up here, and then we'll pivot, bro. Let me see how did I do it last time, right here.
Yeah, that one. No, the one right next to it.
All right, I'm gonna pull you back up. Oh, here you go.
Is he on now?
There he is. All right, Mike, I'm gonna pull you up, Michael. It's Michael, by the way, y'all. Michael Matulich. Okay, so Michael, just so you know, the title of this one is Half His Life Behind Bars, because not only are you our guest, you're somebody that I hold very dearly in my heart, that I've known for several years since we were kids. So I was trying to give a background about where we met and kind of what we've been through and like how we met up again with each other in prison and whatnot. So, you know, this episode is really surrounded by, you know, how much change we've had in our life, bro. Like, you gotta admit, like, we've had some major changes, and a lot of the changes for both you and I have been more recently than anything, because I mean, we've gone through changes. Right, yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Mm.
Right. Yeah, right. And we talked about that too, as well as how you went into. He was in Henderson jail. I don't want to tell the whole story, but we talked about how he was able. From me going into about to go into jail, he was like, "Man, let me tell you something." And you know, if you don't mind, kind of share a little bit about how you did that. Right.
Mm.
No, I hear you. Yeah. Right, yeah. And he was. You was living it, bro. You was in there doing it. Right. Wow. What? Right. Hypocritical kind of looking, like, you know? Right. Right. Yeah. With the parents. Huh.
Yeah. Right. Mm.
Right. Yeah. Right. So we were getting. We us as now adults
Mm.
and being able to like to look back and see things. Obviously, things are different now than what we were when we were kids. But like you said earlier, I wouldn't change anything. And for me, I don't have regrets because I feel like I learned lessons from everything. And a regret to me means that either I didn't learn the lesson or I didn't gain something from it.
Right.
So to me, regrets are just not a part of my life. I don't live in regret. I'm not like, dang, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. There's some things that I could have done different, or would have, but I'm not gonna dwell on them because again, here I am right now doing better than I've ever done,
Right.
and that's probably because I've done bad shit by choice, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? Because like you said, with my parents were alcoholics. My parents were in using substance, and my mom didn't necessarily let us run the streets. In fact, my mom did the opposite. My mom wanted so hard for us not to be in the gangs.
Yeah.
She kept us home. Like my mom, her thing was because I said so. And it made me want to run away. Like I would just start running away. And that's how I started getting in trouble. I started running away, and then I would rob houses, and then I would do all this bad stuff. So for me, my mom was trying so hard to keep me out of the streets and away from the gangs that it did the exact opposite. I didn't want to be around my parents. I couldn't stand them. We'd already lived homeless for 2 years with them in the van. I'm like, man, I don't want to be nowhere near any of you dudes. So I would just run away. And so that's what kind of got me into the life of crime, living on the streets. And there's times where I'd be gone for like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Sometimes like a month, I'd be gone. And then I'd get picked up by the police. Then my mom would have to come get me a juvenile. I'd see her in court. And it was like a constant thing. I was constantly running away, constantly getting in trouble. So for me, it was just like a never-ending cycle, revolving door, continuous. And I went to juvenile. I must have went to juvenile 40 times, like easily. Easily, probably at least 30, no exaggeration, just going in, coming out, going in, coming out. And I was telling them how we met. It was in Spring Mountain, and we met because we were on this thing called Freedom Program. Nathan, my brother Nathan and I, and we got in a car accident in a G ride, and that's how we ended up going to prison. He had 4 POs and I had 4 POs. This thing called Freedom Program. You remember that, Michael? I don't know if you remember the Freedom Program. No, right? Okay, yeah. Right. Yes, yes, yes. That's right.
Mm.
Hey, yeah.
Oh.
What? Check this out. Listen, before you go any further,
Mm.
we did so good in football that year. Like we had a chance to go to like the Super Bowl, but these dudes threw the game. It was, oh my God, I was in tears, dude. Dude, we did so good that year, bro. We did so good. That was the funnest time, man. It was. We had such a good time. That was great times. Yeah, really, Mr. Jones, huh? All
Oh.
right. Wow. He was in Cohen, right? Yes, the
Mm.
Mexican dude. Yeah, yeah, Mr. Jones.
Mm.
He was harsh. This dude was harsh.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Jesse. Oops. I just cussed for the first time out here.
Oops.
Oops. Anyways.
I had a question for you, Michael. What what made you want to stop going back to prison? Was it while you were in there? Was it a time after you got out where you said enough is enough? What was the thing that made you want to change?